I've just watched a video by Brit in which I watched the second part of her reading of her moving vlog, and now I'm actually, weirdly enough, tempted to clean. I'm not that person, but I'm actually somewhat tempted to like do a thorough clean, a thorough organization of this place. But no way am I doing that on my birthday. So, and at this point in time, yeah. So let's just put it where all good intentions go with me, in the huge pile of procrastination that I will do eventually when I get around to it. Hey everyone, Clio here and welcome to another reading vlog. So it is Monday evening. I've just finished off the previous reading vlog and I'm starting the next one. So we are there. There's 1.5 day left in June. June, right? Yeah. Don't know the months anymore. There's 1.5 day left in June and I want to be finishing off Queenie by Candice Carter-Williams. So Queenie is a book about our protagonist called Queenie. She is a young black girl living in London in the UK. Her parents are from Jamaican descent. And so at the beginning of this book, her boyfriend Tom, who was a white guy, breaks up with her, and she is very much distraught over this. She very much clings on to him. This sort of situation results in her becoming very insecure, her becoming very frantic in her behavior and starting to seek out men wherever she can. And I would just definitely say that I love it so much. It is so, it's so candid, it's so down to earth. It's giving you this life without sugarcoating anything or anything like that, and it can be very annoying to read about some of her life choices. You can definitely consider it as watching a train wreck take place, but it's also very endearing in a way, the way that you are so exposed to Queenie as a person, the way that you see all of her flaws and her shortcomings. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to finishing this one. Alright, so it's Tuesday, it is the final day of the month, and I finished what I will consider my final book for the month. And so I finished Queenie and I loved it. I mean, seriously guys, you need to read this book. It's maybe not for everybody, but I think this one is pretty well good. It's pretty much a sort of like crowd pleaser. So it is referred to as the Black Bridget Jones Diaries, and that kind of in part set me off of it. Not that I don't like the movie Bridget Jones Diaries, I haven't read the book so I cannot talk about the books, but not that I didn't like Bridget Jones Diaries, the movie, but I didn't love it neither. Framing it as a black Bridget Jones Diary just made me think it's just going to be a story about a black woman struggling to get her life in order, which is very much true, but I thought it was going to be very much more superficial than it ended up being. So, but this one definitely delves into a lot of things having to do with being a black female, and therefore very much shows how much of an impact being a black female has on that whole sort of story of struggling girl trying to get her life in order. So I definitely highly encourage you to read it, not just because of it dealing with these deeper topics, but also just because it is great, it is funny. And not only that, it also really made me cry. So yeah, absolutely adored this one. This is definitely going on like my top books of the year list at this point in time, and I don't think it's going to come off. I really love this one. Hey everyone, it's my birthday, so for today, as I said, I didn't really have any plans, but I think I'm going to go to the library, extend my library subscription, and treat myself to a library haul, you know. But so yeah, I haven't had a library subscription in like 2 years. I had it when I started BookTube, but in all honesty, BookTube is not the reason why I stopped using my library, because even before that I barely used my library subscription. It's also like just a couple of euros a year or something like that, so it's not like I was wasting my money on it or anything like that. But I've just been very much somebody who likes to own books, and I have so many books, and so even now I'm somewhat debating it, because I'm like, yeah, but I have so many books that I still need to read on my shelves here, and I don't want to like overcrowd my TBRs with library books. But on the other hand, I do feel like it's like €6 for a year, and they have quite some recent books. In the past, they didn't really have recent books in English, but I've now checked like what they have for the that was published in 2020, and quite a few of the things that I'm interested in they actually have. They have a few books that I purchased in the meantime that came out in 2020. They already have them. So basically, I'm starting my day off with 2 books that are not on my pile of possibilities. First one is the Penultimate Peril, the penultimate book in the series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. I started this one in June, but I was always like listening to it while at work, and a lot of times I just really wasn't taking it in. So I restarted it yesterday, I think, or the day before. I think yesterday. So I restarted it and paid a lot more attention this time around, and then today I'm continuing. This one is definitely also getting read this month, and I've definitely enjoyed waking up with this book to accompany me. And then on the 1st of July, the Empire of Gold became available on my script, so I haven't actually checked it yet, so it'll be a huge disappointment if it's not on there, because it was always saying like available as of the 1st of July, so I'm definitely hoping that it will be. And so I think that after my library visits, I'm probably going to be diving into that one now. So I'm back. I've changed again my outfit because I'm sweating enormously, and I see that I also arrived at the correct time because now it's raining. But so in any case, I totally underestimated the weather, went out in jeans and like a light sweater, but it was way too warm for that, so now I'm back in my pajama shorts and a tank top. And I'm going to hope that my body temperature goes down fast. But so I come bearing gifts, not exactly gifts, but seriously, if I have to pay €6 a year for it, then I consider any library book a gift now. And so let me walk you through the books that I got. I got way too much considering how much I already have on my TBR. So I'll first go through the books. I also have 2 movies with me. So first of all, I've got Mythos by Stephen Fry. So this is a book that has been doing the rounds a lot in recent years. I am very much a mythology fan, but I personally haven't started yet. And so I want to rectify that and read Mythos as well at this point. And then a book that I didn't think was going to be as long as it is The Other Bennett Sister, which it's a chunk. It is bigger than my head, but luckily the font is also relatively big. So this is a Pride and Prejudice, not really a retelling. This is about, I think about, Mary Bennett, because I've heard about another book that was about Charlotte Lucas, I think, but so this one is about Mary Bennett, so we're getting the story of Pride and Prejudice, but through the eyes of Mary Bennett. I've heard nothing but good things about this one. It would be interesting to see what this author does with that narration. Next up is a book that I was intending to read this month, and that is The Man Who Saw Everything by Deborah Levery. This was on the long list for the Booker Prize 2019. I currently need to finish 1 book on the short list and 2 books on the long list, and then I've completed the entire long list. This is a very short one. It is under 200 pages, I believe. Yeah, it's 199 pages, and I actually don't know anything about it at this point anymore. So, but yeah, I think it's a gorgeous cover, and I do definitely want to read it this month, so look out for more information from this in one of my coming vlogs maybe, or in, of course, the July wrap-up. And then I have a book that kind of picked it up on impulse, and that is Trick Mirror by Gia Tolentino. I don't know too much about it, so when I read the sort of self-title, the subtitle, which is Reflections on Self-Delusion, I did get quite interested, and it is a collection of essays. So it's a collection of essays about delusion. So I think it's going to be cool to kind of have like an essay a day or an essay every few other days to tide me over with this one. And then the final book that I picked up was very much on a whim because I didn't necessarily find this cover intriguing, and that is Tin Man by Sarah Winman. I guess because it's a guy on a bicycle, and it just immediately makes me think that it's going to be about cycle sport. And cycling is very big in Belgium. Like it seems like every Sunday there's some sort of cycle race being shown on TV. So I basically just associated with it a lot of boring TV time. So I wasn't necessarily intrigued, but then I saw it in a recommendations video from Drinking by My Shelf. I forgot her name for the moment, and she recommended it as one of the, in a video about either bisexual representation or queer representation. I think in the video she did about bisexual representation. So I think it was about a man and his wife, and at some point through circumstances he's thinking back of an earlier friendship he had with a friend, and how they were actually basically very close to being an item, but because society was so against boys being together, against homosexuals, they decided not to go there. But according to her, this one very much validates both relationship. It validates the relationship of this man with this woman as much as it validates the relationship between these two guys, showing both of these relationships to be equal, both of these to be worth it, both of these to be normal. And so I very much got intrigued when I heard her recommend this book, and so I definitely wanted to pick it up as well. And so yeah, that is my little book haul here. And then I also got 2 movies. So the first one is probably what I'm going to watch tonight. I already watched it, but it just felt like having a very good, like having a nice feel-good movie for my birthday, and that is Eat, Pray, Love. And then the other one that I got is one that I haven't seen yet, and that you didn't see that. That is Dolor y Gloria, or Pain and Glory, I think it is in English, by Pedro Almodovar. I'm a huge Pedro Almodovar fan. I love his movies. This is one with Antonio Banderas. This is his latest movie. It was nominated for Best Foreign Picture as well in last year's Oscars, and I haven't watched it yet, and I definitely do want to see it. And so yeah, that's my plan for tonight. Watching Eat, Pray, Love, maybe, just maybe, pushing in Jurassic Park as well, which is one of my favorite movies of all times. Or You've Got Mail. I wanted to see it yesterday and I didn't, so we'll see. Alright, so it's the 2nd of July. Stop saying June, July. It's the 2nd of July, it's no longer my birthday, but I had a great birthday because, so last time I checked in with you guys, I think I was talking about like my evening plans, but they totally changed because a friend of mine confirmed that she was available to go to the cinema. So cinemas opened again in Belgium from the 1st of July, so we were some of the first people back in cinema. So we went to see Queen and Slim. So this is a movie that came out in Belgium right before lockdown, but I saw on like internet that apparently it came out in 2019. So maybe some of you have already seen it. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. It is like a heavy movie in a sense, but it's heavy and light at the same time. I would kind of compare it with Queenie, which I just read, which is then like the Black Bridget Jones Diaries. This is then often referred to as the Black Bonnie and Clyde. So we are looking at 2 black people on the run. But the reason why they're on the run is because they went on a Tinder date, and when they were driving back home they got stopped by a police officer, and things escalate from there, and in the end they end up killing the police officer. So obviously they are very much aware of their freedom being taken away from them, so they go on the run. So this is definitely a movie that's very relevant to watch at these times, and it is not a glorification of the fact that these people killed that police officer. It very much shows how this all happens in the heat of the moment, and it's very much an intimate look at these 2 people and at their handling of the situation. And we are also getting the mixed reaction of people they come across, and the difficult reactions of people they come across. You know, they get a lot of support from people in the Black community, but there are also people in the Black community who are saying you've just given them an excuse to kill us from now on. And there are people in the white community who are supportive of them. There are people who are damning the fact that they have killed a police officer. So we're very much looking at these different reactions throughout, and the movie in no way is trying to say that they are heroes. It's just showing them as being victims as well of the situation, and struggling to survive, struggling to keep on carrying on. And while they are trying to get away, they do also constantly do things that they've always wanted to do, because they feel in their hearts that this is going to be their last chance of doing so. And so in a sense you're kind of watching this going, no, don't do that, that's stupid, you're wasting your time. But there's also sort of beauty to it, of them taking these final moments of freedom and really living life to its fullest. So yeah, that was my evening last night. So we went for dinner at a vegetarian place. Always nice to have like the full menu to choose from. And then I went to a movie and then some drinks. So I ended up having a great birthday after all. Not that my other plans weren't great, but they were pretty low-key. And in the end I ended up having a great night that it's something that I need to do more often, basically, actually, to kind of step outside of my comfort zone, being this apartment, and actually go out and do stuff. But yeah, of course, previous months that really wasn't an option. But so this morning I've woken up late and I finished The Penultimate Peril by Lemony Snicket. So this is the penultimate book in the series. It is one of the ones that I've enjoyed more as well. It's one that I definitely think is well put together. The book is very much about good and bad, good people and bad people, and how to tell these apart. So they are given the instructions in the beginning that if they carefully observe people, then they will know on what side they are. But the book is very much showing how this is definitely not the case. How carefully observing people will lead you to see that they do acts that are typical of good people, and they do acts that are more inclined to for bad people. And so there is no way of telling good people and bad people apart just by watching their everyday actions. And in a similar vein, they are also looking at their own actions in that way. They're looking at their own actions and wondering, are we good people or are we bad people? So they have these feelings from the beginning when they're looking back at past events, but they will also have an event take place throughout this book that will definitely make them question their own moral compass. That will definitely make them question whether they are still the innocent people that they think themselves to be. So very much enjoyed this one, and I'm on to the final one. I don't know whether I'm going to put it into July because I have so many books on that July TBR, and this one wasn't even on there. And so I don't know whether I'm going to push it into July. Maybe I will push it into August. But I'm very much looking forward to finally finishing the series and finally being able to pick up the TV show, because I had seen a movie a couple of years ago, but the movie is just like the first 3 books, I think, and isn't very good. But apparently the TV show is very well made, so I'm very much looking forward to diving into the TV show after I finish a series of unfortunate events. Friday, final day of my holidays. So yesterday I got to about the 140 page mark in The Empire of Gold. I'm not entirely sure yet what I think of it, because I don't necessarily like the way that the third story's plotline is set up. So I'm finding it like, I'm still liking these characters and stuff like that, but I just don't like the plotline that much. And that's probably just something super personal, because I cannot really explain why I'm not really into this sort of plotline. I mean, I know that based on like the second book, I just preferred to look at the storyline within Devabad as it was unrolling in that book, and then we kind of did a whole turnaround, and we still have the same elements of like discrimination as towards the Shafis in there, but I would have liked to see that resolved in a second book setting more. So I'll hold off my thoughts, my judgment on that for a little bit more. And I am starting Trick Mirror by Gia Tolentino. So I've listened to the first essay yesterday, which I thought to be very interesting. I mean, I don't think it's like a groundbreaking essay. I think most of the concepts, most of the thoughts in that essay are thoughts that have been flying around, but I think it's a very nice condensed essay about this topic. So it's very much talking about the rise of the internet and about social media, about, you know, the portrayal of the self through the internet, the reasons why the internet is so addictive to us, and things like trolling on social media. It goes into those subjects a lot. So I don't think it's groundbreaking subject matter, but I do think that she condensed that subject matter very well in a 33-page essay. And so I definitely enjoyed that essay a lot, and I think I'm just going to like listen to an essay a day for this one now, and then I'll be through in like somewhere next week. So I'm making a type of egg roll. Very excited to see what it's going to be like, because I don't know what the result is going to be, but it was with cheese. You know, you could use feta, I used manuri, and grated zucchini and sun-dried tomatoes. So I'll let you guys know what the result was afterwards, but now I'm going to pop these into the oven and then make a little bit of a salad with it, some hard-boiled eggs and stuff like that. So I'll check in with you guys later. So I'm gonna say that I'm quite proud of myself. This is what I made. It looks so delicious. So yeah, I'm going to be enjoying my dinner now, and some chef's juice. If you watch Gilmore Girls, you know that reference, so some wine basically. So it is Monday after work, so I'm closing out this reading vlog. So all in all, last week, in the entirety of this week, I didn't read any book that I intended to read when I started this month. Though by the time that my July TBR went up, there was one book of these books on there, and that is The Count of Monte Cristo. So I didn't get very far, so I started it on Sunday a little bit in the morning, and so I only got like 13 pages in, but I don't really have anything to say about this book yet because I barely got into it. The book that I did finish this week was the Penultimate Peril, the penultimate book in a series of unfortunate events. Really love this one. Final physical book that I have is Trick Mirror by Gia Tolentino. So this is essay collection to which I listened to the first 4 essays, so about 130 pages into that one. And then finally I read about 560 pages of Empire of Gold, which I'm going to have to say is becoming a little bit of a disappointment. So yeah, I'm just continuing on, hoping for better. I won't say anything more because I of course have also continued in that book today, and something happened that I have an opinion about, but that will be for the next reading vlog. So yeah, see you guys for the next one. Hope you enjoyed this one. I don't even remember how much footage I have. I hope that there's something interesting happening in this one, but so yeah, check in with you guys next week.